This is the Dental Elements Podcast, the podcast for the dental profession and everyone on the team. A dental hygienist who is also a consultant and a dental assistant who also owns a brewery. Shatter the stigma by bringing a podcast that is for everyone in the profession. Join us for a refreshing conversation with innovators, collaborators, and inspirers. Cheers to that. Hi, this is your host, Cindy Rogers, and today in this episode, I sit down with Eli Packouz. He is the founder and CEO of Instafloss. It is a device that automatically flosses all of your teeth in only 10 seconds. We talk about the product and the development. We also talk about the entrepreneurial side and how we got started, about crowdfunding and raising funds, and all of the things that go into business and development. And I'm super excited to share this episode with you. To reach out to Eli and to see the video and learn more about Instafloss, head on over to rootyouone.com and click the episode link, and you will have a link to Eli and to Instafloss. Everything is right there on that page, so rootyouone.com. And so tell us about a little bit about you and your product and how this came about.
I'd be happy to. So I'm Eli Packouz. I'm an inventor and entrepreneur, I suppose, in order to bring inventions from anything other than the conceptual phase. That's what you have to do. So I've started two companies. My first was in 2013. We created a lot of music tech products for musicians. We came out with eight different products. And about 5 years ago, I was eating a bunch of mango with my brother, and I was getting a lot of stuff stuck in between the teeth. And we were flossing, trying to get rid of it, and it was a big pain. And flossing for most people is a big pain. And we were like, we've got to make this easier. There's got to be a way that this can be quicker, more effective, just done for you. And probably within the course of about 2 weeks, I had like 5 different people come to me and be like, hey, you make products for a living. Can you design something that will floss my teeth? And I just knew that this was going to be huge because, as I was doing my research, I found out that, like 70% of people regularly skip flossing, which is huge. And that's in the United States, where we actually have pretty good flossing adherence. It's worse outside of the States. And the reasons they gave is that the number one reason is that it just takes too long. People are like, I don't want to spend the time, but also that it hurts. And also that it's hard to do correctly. I mean, as you look into various studies, you can see them sort of bifurcated into two groups, where the one is where professionals floss people and the other people floss themselves. And you see a huge difference between these two groups in terms of the outcome. That's because most people don't floss correctly, unfortunately. So it's like 70% of people don't do it. And then of those who do, they're not even getting the results they want. So they're very frustrated. They go to the dentist, and the dentist is like, you don't floss. They're like, but I do. And then, this gets into their head. So it's a big problem. So I started reading textbooks, on flossing. What is it trying to accomplish? What's actually happening here? What's the goal? I started reading the scientific, everything published I could find on flossing, just to be able to understand it. And, I knew that if I was going to design a product, it shouldn't be me leading the science. I'm familiar with engineering and everything like that, but, there are medical professionals for a reason. So I partnered early on Dr. Ralph Raud and Dr. Ana Mascarenhas, who's the chair of the ADA Council of Science. So she's a dental scientist. She's essentially doing studies and reviewing studies, all day on everything oral health. And I came with her with the concept that me and Dr. Raud had come up with. And, she was the one guiding our scientific testing throughout the whole process, which took on so many different forms. So first, just the concept. In the course of the research, and, of course, confirmed by Dr. Ana Mascarenhas, I found out that water flossing is less painful and can remove more plaque, and because the water molecules are smaller than string, can get deeper underneath the gum line, can disturb more biofilm. And so if you do it correctly, you can actually see better results from water flossing than string flossing. However, most people don't do it correctly. And the top reasons for this is, number one, the results that you see in these studies that show that is disturbing more biofilm, et cetera, is assuming, number one, you have 100% coverage. So you have to trace the gum line, both on the outside and the inside. And you have to do so at 90 degrees, which is the most effective angle to get deeper penetration under the gums. And that's really difficult to do with a manual water jet. Try to get 90 degrees, trace everything, don't miss anything, and then get on the inside. And you can't even do it. And if you're trying to aim, you're going to splatter your mirror. You go on Amazon, 80% of the 1-star reviews are complaining about splattering the mirror. And then people give up and they don't even use it. They're like, I did it for 2 weeks, then I stopped, and everything like that. And then people don't floss at all. The concept was, what if we were able to just provide the jets for people? And the first ideation of this was a mouth guard. But there's a lot of issues with the mouth guard. Number one, you have to make an individual one for each person, which makes it crazy expensive, and which is just terrible from a manufacturing point of view. You want to be able to mass manufacture things so that way it's affordable for people, and it can actually be done in a timely manner. You could go to the store, buy it, use it that day. It's supposed to go through this whole process, like almost like getting Invisalign or something. Mm-hmm. And you know how expensive that is. So the other issue with the mouth guard is you would only be able to clean in between each tooth, which is great. If you're not flossing, that is an improvement. But part of the advantages of especially water flossing in particular is that you could clean underneath the gum line 360 degrees around each tooth. And if you use a mouth guard, there's just no way to get that. So it would be a more expensive solution for worse results. And obviously it's not what you want. So what we came up with was an H-shaped device, which I'll show here on video. If you're listening to it, essentially the top U of the H goes around your top teeth. The bottom U of the H goes around your bottom teeth. And 12 jets come from both sides. So it's always at 90 degrees, covers 100% of the gum line, front, back, 360 clean. I'll demonstrate. I'll put this in. And
you can talk while you're doing it.
Barely.
So you do that, you run it around your teeth and kind of hold it.
Exactly. From one molar to the other, 10-second sweep is all you need, and we have 100% coverage.
And is that water or air that comes out of that?
It's water. So what is off camera is a reservoir, similar to a water pick or similar device.
But you can actually put it in there and close down a little bit, so it's not splattering all over.
Exactly. There's no need to aim. Yeah. Precisely. Yeah. It does it for you. It has 100% coverage, does it at 90 degrees. And so this is, not only if you're lacking on time, which is number one complaint, but also the difficulty if you have motor disabilities, old people, young people who are in a rush or just don't want to do it, which is most people. So, So we're really excited about being able to, bring flossing to more than just the dedicated few good patients.
Yeah. I find that very fascinating. I love new things and inventing things. And I love that. And so you put it in it. So the good thing about it is it does both sides at the same time. And so it does save time, like half the time, because you're doing both at the same time. And then the angle, I know with the water and like the ultrasonic, the air actually, because the bubbling water actually kills bacteria because it's anaerobic bacteria under your gum line. And so introducing some oxygen bubbles from the water too will help reduce that bacteria.
It is pulsing, so it is oxygenated as well. And the pressure from the water, so it removes the debris and the plaque. They definitely work in conjunction there.
Yeah. So how long have you had this product? I know it's probably years in the making, but how long has it been on the market and ready for people to use?
So we have been doing R&D for 5 years, which I did not know what I was getting into from the beginning.
And that's research and development, right?
Oh, yes. Sorry. Yes. Research. We've been doing research and development for 5 years. On the research side, like we started, for example, flossing pig heads, just to be able to test plaque removal and gum depth penetration, because according to Dr. Anna Mascarenhas, pigs are some of the closest tissue you will get to humans. So, we would floss them, we would cut away their gums, it's a very nasty process. We would cut them vertically, actually, so we could get on both sides. But when you cut them vertically, like their brains fall out, and it's like size of a pigs. Golf ball. I know it's a shame. Now, I will say that these were the parts, we got them from butchers who had already sold all the meat, and they weren't doing anything with the head.
So you made their lives even more meaningful by using them for research, right?
Precisely. Exactly. Okay. We killed no pigs. We just used the part of the pig that nobody was going to eat, which is the teeth, the gums.
Yeah, we use pig skin in dentistry too for grafts and things. So that would make sense that it does mimic human tissue, probably the closest.
And more than that, people actually get organ transplants from pigs, which is crazy to me. Oh, yeah. I don't know, I've heard of that. How I'd feel of walking around with a pig kidney. I mean, probably better than walking around dead.
No kidding. Yeah, true.
Once we had with the pig experimentation, we were able to see that we were confident in our jets and our placements and, the timing, et cetera. We then moved to human trials to see, how this compared against string, against other water flossing devices, et cetera. But one thing, just to give you a window into, the journey, before we actually went into human trials, I was experimenting with an early version of the prototype after the pigs. And I was just using it on myself just to see how I felt about it. And this was an early stage of the prototype. So instead of having a small reservoir of water, I was just using a giant bathtub sized bucket. So, I didn't have to fill it and everything like that. And I would do it and it would feel really nice. And I would be using this for 2-3 minutes at a time, multiple times a day, just because it felt so good. Because I love flossing in general. However, if you do the math, it's a 10-second floss is the equivalent of 2 minutes with another flossing device. So if you're doing it for, say, 2 minutes, that's 120 seconds, which is each 10 seconds is 2 minutes. So that's 24 minutes equivalent. And if you do it for 3 minutes, that's 36 minutes equivalent. So I'm flossing the equivalent of half an hour multiple times a day, without realizing it. And that's just not recommended by anyone. Don't floss for an hour and a half a day. Yeah, you don't want to take too much of the bacteria out. It's too much of the good stuff, right? So what happened was, after a week of doing this, just like a complete idiot, I started breaking out in sores on my gums, between my teeth, on my tongue, and my throat. I went to the dentist being like, what's going on? It was so painful. I couldn't even drink water. He's like, you have what's colloquially referred to as trench mouth, something that's common in World War I because of vitamin deficiencies. Essentially, you stripped away the top part of your gums and you allowed any pathogen that wants to get in there to get in there. So, he's like, I'm going to give you antivirals, antibacterials, antifungals. If there's any domain of life that exists, we're going to kill it. It took me a week to get better. It was super painful. But what I realized was that we need to prevent people from over flossing. Our mission was to get people to floss, but at the same time, if you make it too easy, they could over floss, and that could be just as bad, or if perhaps worse. Created
a new problem. I've never heard of over flossing. So
it's
you
relatively
took it way up
rare.
There, then how to bring it back down.
Exactly. Very few people will get there, but it exists, and it is a problem. I mean, I'm sure you've heard of overbrushing. That's a lot more common.
Oh yeah.
Over flossing is relatively rare. But if you make a device that can do it in 10 seconds, and suddenly this problem that very few people have could become very common. So
then you get so used to being so strip clean that you could fill every little mineral too, exactly. And then you probably just keep flossing again.
Yeah, and you don't want to stop. So before we went to human trials, based on my own personal experience, it's like, okay, we're adding this functionality into the device, which is after you complete the floss for 10 seconds, it starts flashing the LED saying slow down. Like a yellow light saying slow down, and then it stops the device, and there's a cool down period. Now, the cool down period isn't very long, so if you're using the device, if you're sharing it with a family member, it's I believe it's 15 seconds. That's just as much time as it takes to switch the mouthpiece and let someone else use it. But it's enough, especially with the thing saying to stop, to let you know, hey, that was a complete floss. Don't do that again. And you have to wait, 15 seconds. And then so if you were going to overfloss, you'd have to do it incredibly intentionally now, instead of just sort of getting lost in the feeling and doing it for a few minutes at a time.
Yes, this is kind of like we're using reverse psychology on people. And so now they're going to want to floss, and it's brilliant. Get that reverse psychology. And a lot of it is psychological, time, but it's not really that much time. Or go in until it stops. And so now it's go, as long as you can. So that's kind of cool too, I think.
Right. You do it and then it stops it for you. And now you know that you've completed a full floss. So if you do what I did unintentionally, you would have to do it rather intentionally. And you would know that you did dirty flosses. Now, we can make it foolproof, but we can't make it damn foolproof. So if you really wanted to hurt yourself, poke it in your eye or whatever on purpose, there are limits to what we can do, but at least we can let you know this was one floss, stop. That's all, and I think that was an important part of the development to prevent people from doing too much. So sometimes when you solve one problem, you create another and you have to solve two.
Yeah. And there's always some people, that just don't understand as much. But that's what the small print comes in to, let people know its intended use and only use it for that use and that amount of time. And there's a reason instructions are there. And I'm learning that myself.
Nobody reads them though. That's why we had to build in this LED. That's
what I've been telling people when I do trainings. I'm like, go to read your instructions on some of your equipment. Just pull out one for your safety and pull out an instruction. Just read it. You'll be flabbergasted. I bet 1 out of 3 you've been doing things wrong this whole time. And you can learn so much just by reading the instructions.
I'll tell you a story in that vein. So when I came out with my very first product, we created a quick start guide, not even a manual, just a very short few pages, just to give you the very basics of the most important parts. And we put it on top of the thing. So it was the first thing you saw when you opened the box. And it says in giant words, quick start guide, please read. Not going to take long. It's 2 minutes. Just read this. And we came out with the product, we delivered it to customers, and people, because it was a very brand new product, they started uploading unboxing videos. They were excited. And, we were watching the unboxing videos because we were excited to see customer reactions to our first product. And so you get this guy and he's recording, getting the product. He looks at the box. He's like, ooh, I like the box. He opens the box and then he sees this little thing. This is a small quick start guide. It says, please read. He picks it up and says, please read. Readings for losers. And he tosses it off camera and continues to take out the thing and try to assemble it and all that stuff. No, it said, please read, read the instructions. This was we were begging you to do it. And that was, I would say, the moment that it really clicked to me that it doesn't matter what you say. People are probably not going to read instructions. Yep. And therefore you have to design the product in a way that it's giving feedback as you're doing stuff. So we could put in the manual of the Instafloss, only use for 10 seconds. Anything more than this is overflossing. But how many people are going to read that? How many people are going to know that? So therefore it's just a lot more effective if it stops when you've reached a certain point and it has an LED and you're and you come to associate that oh, this light is telling me to stop. Yeah.
That's great that you're able to build that in as well for people like me that just like to figure things out without the instructions. The old me, the new me reads at least the quick start.
That's great. You are in the top 1% of customers.
Yeah, I'm learning. So some of the small questions I have, does it come in different sizes or does it adjust? Let's say if somebody has big teeth or somebody with ortho, would that be something for them if they have metal braces on, things like that? Does it adjust or is it just pretty wide enough that it could fit around most mouths?
Right. So that's a great question. So here, again, if you're watching the video, I'm showing the device, but I'll try to narrate it in a way where you don't need to see it. So this amount of space between the front and the back part is enough to clear braces. So if you have braces, it should not be a problem. And also, if you don't have braces, it's also not a problem. So both people who have braces or various curves to their teeth position, This is enough. Now, granted, there could be some like extreme cases. Over 98% of people should be able to fit within this space. Also, in terms of how the delta in height from the bottom of their gum line to the top of the gum line. So this should cover 100% of the gum line in the vertical direction, as well as be able to fit teeth, as well as different overlapping teeth or dental like apparatus, like braces in between in the horizontal direction. So both in the vertical and horizontal direction, we should fit about 98% of people who are over the age of 12.
Okay. Okay. I see now. It does the top and the bottom at the same time. I guess I didn't even catch that the first time.
Yes. So it's four quadrants. It's the front, the back, the top, the bottom. And then because you don't have to trace in an arc like you have to do with a normal like manual water flossing device, where you have to go manually around the gum line, you just do one sweep because it has many jets. You can get the whole thing at once. That further reduces the time by a factor of 3. So 4 quadrants, divide the amount of time you need by 4, and then the ability to go horizontal sweeping instead of in a curving motion, which reduces the manual articulation that you need to that is required, further reduces it by a factor of 3. And that's how we get down to 10 seconds.
Wow, that's amazing. Does it vibrate a lot, or is it just kind of like pulsate when you're holding the handle? Because we're talking about like people with disabilities that might have dexterity issues.
You'll feel the water come through it, but it doesn't provide a lot of...
it's not like vibrating or just like pulsate.
Yeah, I think if you can hold a manual water flosser, or maybe even like a vibrating toothbrush, you should have no problem. Now, obviously there's motor disabilities that are beyond our scope. Right. To give an extreme example, if you are, immobile from the neck down, but then we'll need another person.
With that said, though, that's great for the other person, the caretakers as well, because if you are taking care of somebody or senior citizens, some of our patients even come in, even with the chairs and technology, they can't lean back, and we're trying to get in there and not see something like this would actually help us hygienists, dentists and assistants be able to get in there and clean the patient's mouth without them.
Yeah, this would be great for a caretaker. In fact, we've had people suggest that we make versions for dogs because, they want to floss their dog's teeth, but it's hard to do it manually. I think that we'll consider that down the line, that the issue with dogs, I think...
They try to eat it. Mine would.
Absolutely. Which is maybe not bad. It's better they try to eat it and they run away from it. Is that they just come in so many different shapes and sizes, and we'd have to make, I don't even know where to begin in terms of like trying to figure out the right dimensions. Oh my God. Yeah. I think the little dogs have need it the most too. That would be the hardest because they're so tiny.
So
it's definitely possible. And I understand there's a market for that. And I understand it would fulfill a need in terms of people's pets tend to get oral care problems that cost them a lot of money. And if they could avoid that, just like people, if you can take care of your teeth, you'll save a lot of money down the line.
Well, let me know if you start. We are going to do an episode with pets. Because everybody loves pets more than humans, right?
Exactly. So people like, I'm going to get it for my child. I'm going to get it for my pet. I'm going to get it for my grandpa. Anyone but me, One thing about it being more universal is both the top shell and the bottom shell, these rotate independently. So depending on if you have a mismatched alignment in terms of your bite, we can still get a higher percentage of people because these move independently. So,
and then bridges, people that have bridges, and it's really hard to get under there, even with the flossers and everything. So that would be great. Just kind of run it over and maybe spend a little bit of extra time in that one spot and get underneath absolutely and implants, and safe for implants because it's just water, right? Do you recommend using warm water, or I know you have to be careful what you say on there because some people will put boiling hot water and burn themselves.
So I have never seen any studies on whether warm water is more effective than cold water, nor have we conducted that study ourselves in our research. We were just comparing the water, we compared it to string, we compared it to manual water flossers, to show and study how effective the Instafloss is. But so we didn't study the temperature of the water itself, but I will say anecdotally, and warm water is more comfortable than cold water. And I don't see any reason why it would be less effective. I could only see reasons why it would be more effective, because warm water molecules are less likely to stick to each other. So they could perhaps, in theory, and I'm not saying that it does, but they could perhaps in theory get deeper into the gums. I mean, that's why like warm water washing out your clothes is more effective than cold water in most circumstances. The only circumstances if the warm water bind can cause a reaction in the molecules of whatever's causing the stain. That's a different thing entirely. But hot water is sticks to itself less. You know, there's more energy, so the molecules are gliding past each other, so they could get into smaller spaces. So there is a theoretical reason to believe warm water would be more effective. There's definitely anecdotal reports that it is more comfortable. I can't make any claims on that, but hey, if you want to do warm water, by all
we're going to need a lab. Just not hot. Because like wash your hands, you're not supposed to use hot water because it opens up your pores and allows bacteria back in. But
it'll dry you out.
It'll dry you out. Like drinking water, you're not supposed to drink a lot of water either, if you because it'll give you dry mouth. Like you're saying, you're washing away all your natural lubricants, but what do? You need to wet your mouth, right?
Well, so dose makes the poison. You know, everything is poisonous in the right dose, or shall I say the wrong dose. So definitely drink water, but don't drink so much water that you cause problems.
Don't go overboard. So I love that you're teaching that. Don't go overboard. That's great, because we need to learn that too. So I'm really interested in your business journey as well. So obviously you're an entrepreneur and an inventor, and I'm really fascinated with inventions and entrepreneurship. And how did you go about getting your business going? And so 5 years, I mean, that's a lot of time and money, resources, people. How does one go from... This isn't your first invention, though, like you said, right?
So it's not my first. It's not my first.
Your best, most successful one.
I hope so. Oh, and I realized that I didn't answer your question about the market. So being on the market, I'll answer that in this. So I really got my start with bringing products to market. The way that I've gone about it has always been through the power of the crowd. You know, it's a great way both to get the funding, but also to validate your idea. So for the very first product I ever came out with, we went onto Kickstarter. You know, here's a prototype. This is what it does. We'll give you a discount if you order in advance, and you ordering in advance will enable us to actually be able to make it. So that's how I actually got my start with my first product. And I've done crowdfunding a number of times since. And so with Instafloss, we had to first develop the prototype before we went to crowdfunding. So this wasn't entirely crowd-backed, because in order to get to the prototype stage, you know, I had to do tests. I had, there's a lot of medical tests required to make sure that it actually is effective, is doing, what we want it to do. Because, you can get a floss in 0 seconds if you don't care about the effectiveness of the floss, if you just don't floss. So making a floss take less time only is really beneficial if it actually is an effective floss. So we had to make sure that we were hitting all the hallmarks of what an effective floss is trying to do.
Yeah, and then after the Theranos Tabasco too, people are probably more wary, and you have to prove yourself a little bit. Make sure it works first before you take people's money, right?
Exactly.
Or prove it does.
The business will succeed or fail ultimately on the quality of the product. You could probably get away with scamming people for a certain period of time, but it's not sustainable. So like Theranos, when they tried selling this to Walgreens, that can only work for a certain period of time. It's just not sustainable. You could sell bad medicine, but people are going to be realizing the effects at some point. Yeah. Journalists, scientists, doctors are going to be doing their jobs. I hope. Yeah. and then the whole business will come and crash. And I don't think that's a path anybody wants to go on. Should go on.
Especially want to sleep at night, and
even if you're a completely evil person, what's the plan? Okay, so you're going to make money for like a month, and then you're going to lose it all and get sued and go to prison. It's just stupid.
But you need to think You need to think in the future. You have to be strategic, long road.
Yeah. So like, I mean, criminal mind in that regard is like certainly pathological to a great extent, not just for those around you, but also for oneself. Like, but that's a digression, going on. So why do people get caught up into this?
Yes.
Why do they do things that are so like not sustainable, bad for everyone around them and themselves? But where was I? Oh yeah.
So you started with Kickstarter, crowdfunding, proving it. Okay. Then I interrupted.
Yeah. So the product has to work. So you have to show that the product works before you even start trying to sell people. So for that, I did have to raise, so at first I was self-funding it, probably for like the first year for the rough prototypes, and I was funding it from, the money I was making from my previous companies. But it came to a point where I couldn't use my previous companies to fund this anymore because, like the amount of trials we had to do and the amount of prototyping we had to do was becoming quite expensive. So I raised just under $1 million from private investors in order to build the prototypes and do the testing. And once we had the results from humans, not just pigs and not just myself, then we went on to crowdfunding sites and we offered it to consumers, and we pre-sold $2.5 million worth of the device. So we were able to take that money and build the molds and essentially the factory lineup. So when you make a device, when you prototype, you have to invent one machine. But when you manufacture, you have to invent 30 machines, because each machine that makes a component is its own machine. And that's really expensive and very hard to do. We probably took almost 2 years setting up the factory in order to do that. So it's $1 million from private investors to get to the prototype, $2.5 million that we've done in pre-orders, where people have decided to put their own money in advance to get the product, which is great because not only do we then get the funds to build the factories, etc., but it super validates the demand that people actually want this. This doesn't even exist yet, and they're still willing to put their money where their mouth and teeth and gums are.
But that made you happy, like because that's huge. Because you need people to want to buy it to be able to keep it going.
Yeah, no, it's very validating to see that. I mean, at the same time, I kind of like knew that would happen to some extent, because everyone I ever talked to was like, everybody knows, everybody should floss. Nobody wants to, so very few people do, but they would if it was easy. So it was almost like fundamentally, like if it didn't succeed, it would almost be a problem with implementation rather than the concept, because everyone I talk to, whether they love or hate flossing, is like, this needs to exist. So then we did the crowdfunding. We did all the pre-orders. We have an additional 40,000 people who are just waiting. They're like, okay, I'm not going to give you money right now. I want it to be on the market. So they're on our wait list. And then about 18,000 people who have pre-ordered. So now what the stage we're in is we have built the factories, well, not the factory, the assembly lines, the machines, the molds, etc.
Like injection molding?
Yes. That's part of it, so there's the molds for the injections, there's the electronics, the custom PCB boards, the motors. There's certain parts that have to like be glued and then dried in a particular way. So we have like gluing machines and then drying machines.
It's so amazing, all the little things that go into every product. I'm always fascinated by that. We take for granted.
It's been a 5-year process.
Yeah.
So what we're doing right now, the stage we're in, is we're doing final QC testing, which is quality control. So we have the machines that can build the Instaflosses. And what we're doing is we're running the Instaflosses hundreds of times until they break to see where they break and saying, okay, so if you use this for the equivalency of a year, it's going to break here. So we reinforce that part. And then, okay, if you use it for the equivalency of 2 years, it's going to break here, because the more durable we can make the product, the longer of a warranty we can offer. If we know that it will last 5 years of use and then we offer a 4-year warranty, we're not losing money. You don't want to have this curse of success in a way where you sell millions of products and then in a year or 2 years down the line, everyone's sending it back for the warranty because it broke. And now all that money that you just made suddenly you're in the red, and it's like,
and word of mouth. And then you want them to buy more, and you want more people to know it. You want it to be so great. They're like, I've had this and I've used it for a few years and it's still going great. They tell their friends or family, their social network. Yeah. And they buy another one later. They buy and forget. Yeah. But if it's a piece of crap, then it's not going to get you anywhere. You wasted all that time and money, right?
Exactly.
For a one-time thing.
And that's a testing that can only be done after you've built the molds, because you want to test on the manufactured, mass-produced versions, not the prototypes, because they're made in fundamentally different ways.
That's what's manufacturer's warranty, because the warranty is the manufacturing. Okay.
So, and then that's what the consumer is going to get. The consumer's not going to get a prototype. They're going to get something that we made, in the factories. So that's what we're doing right now. We're almost done with that, and we're going to be delivering probably by the end of this quarter to the customers. And one of the things we're doing right now is because we've spent the first $1 million on the prototyping and the studies. We spent the pre-order money on building the factories and getting the initial run. Now what we need the capital for building the inventory and getting ready to expand into the general market, where for the 40,000 people waiting and beyond, what people tell their friends, in order to get sales reps to go to dental offices and educate dental practitioners on the science that we've done. Because, a dental practitioner can make or break the sale. Maybe they're not going to sell the product, but someone's going to come to their dentist or their hygienist and say, most likely the hygienist actually, and say, oh, I saw this thing advertised to me, or saw it in a store. Should I get it? And if they don't know the science, it's just be like, that sounds too good to be true. So it probably is. I recommend that you just stick to what we know. So, that's going to cost money. So our capital requirements for actually getting into the broader market are greater than just delivering the product to the initial pre-order customers. What we're doing there is we're actually doing another raise. And this is also via crowdfunding. I've always really believed in if you have an idea, take it to the crowd, and if it succeeds with the crowd, you've got a good idea. And almost in a way that if it doesn't succeed with the crowd, you know something's off and you have a bad idea. So it's a way of testing your idea. So what we're doing right now is an equity crowdfunding campaign where we're selling shares in the company, saying this is our business plan. Everybody needs to floss. Very few people do. This is why they don't. This is what we're solving to make them do it. And if we solve that problem, here's going to be the business case, and Instafloss in every counter. This is our vision, and this is our plan to actualize that vision. And so we're selling shares in the company, but in a way that's public, where anybody can purchase those shares and see the business trajectory and be part of the gains. So that's how we went from crowdfunding the initial to crowdfunding the capital requirements to actually release into the whole market.
That was going to be my next question: is can we invest? Are you how would somebody invest if they wanted to get in now before it gets gross to be
get in on the ground floor,
get in so they can cash out.
Exactly. So if you go to instafloss.com, which is Instafloss, INSTAFLOSS.com, there will be a link to our equity crowdfunding campaign where you can learn more.
Okay, great. And then you talk about having sales reps go in and talk to dental professionals and hygienists. Do you have any idea or setup where you have hygienists maybe be sales reps, or there's a lot of hygienists that do side gigs or work part-time in the laboratory, then they do these kind of things with products. They go into offices and they're able to explain the product and things like that, because we could help you get hooked up to a lot of hygienists for sure, and assistants as well, because really they know a lot about that.
They're the ones, doing the real work. So absolutely, definitely the people most qualified to be a sales rep are the people who know what they're talking about in the domain. So that's 100% true. And that is 100% who we would want and how we want to go about it. So right now we're still doing the manufacturing. So we obviously don't have this program yet because we don't have it to give to the.
You already have enough sold. That's a good problem. You already have too many sold. You have to.
Exactly. But it will be a problem very soon. So what I would recommend is go to instafloss.com and sign up to our mailing list, because that's how we would inform you when we have these programs available. And we'll say something like, are you a hygienist? Do you, or a dental practitioner of any sort, are you interested in this program? This is what we're starting. And so when we do start it, you'll be able to find out about when that happens.
Yeah. Okay. That's exciting. Because I know we love new products and new ideas to share with each other and offices and patients. And I think this would be great for senior citizens too. And all kinds of people that could really benefit from this. And it's your health too, your gums and the bacteria. And I just had a situation and they were like, oh, that's something you only get from mouth bacteria. I'm like, that is, I know this is true, but it's like, wow, it's true. Your bacteria in your mouth. You think about it, it's like an open portal. It's the only thing that's open to your body, your inside body, and it's like an open wound.
It's the inside that you expose.
Yeah,
just open wide, and that's like
breathing, talking, everything goes right in that portal, right? So the name of the business is actually Instafloss. That's the company name too. Okay, great. Okay. And so on our website, rootyouon.com, we have your information, your bio. And so people, when they go to listen to the episode, they could go there and they can connect with you. All of your links should be there too for instafloss.com, which should be easy to remember. Just type it in anywhere, right? But if not, go there and you click the links there and get a hold of you probably in that one spot, or what other links you put on there as well, learn more about you and your company. So anything else you wanted to, you're going to say, so it's going to be a ways before we can actually order the product, right? Or can we pre-order the product, or is that? You can pre-order the product. We'll
deliver probably towards the end of Q1.
Okay. And is it going to come in different colors or anything like that? Or is that just way off? Like, does it need to? Is that later when you get bored and you want to spice it up and have a Christmas special or whatever?
That's that's not on the immediate list. Definitely, as the as the market expands, colors are something you do when you're trying to reach like the little corners of the market that you haven't got to, people who won't order it unless it's their favorite color.
Yeah.
So right now, because we have to manufacture certain minimum quantities, we're doing it in white, which is the number one color of most people.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Trading the buy in bulk and all that expense to have a purple one. Nobody wants purple. Make sure it works good first.
Eventually, I definitely feel like there's a value proposition. Like you want your teeth to be flossed well in only 10 seconds. But eventually, I definitely, there's no reason why we wouldn't do colors.
And what's your next venture after this? Is this going to keep you pretty busy for a while? Or do you get to this part and then kind of go on to pass it over? And then are you like a starter upper inventor, or is this going to be your baby for a long haul? Or you're just going to kind of see, you're kind of right on that precipice of the next level.
Right. No, this is a start to finish. I do have other things I would want to include in a hygiene product line. So definitely there are things that we can continue to expand and offer in the same company. In terms of what we offer to people for their oral health. I can't talk about all of those, but, I think it's exciting. Once you have the flosser in their bathroom, now you have the brand, now you're there. We'd almost be silly not to offer improvements in all the other aspects of their oral care and hygiene in general. So that's definitely on the horizon, but, I have to see this all the way through, And you
have to reel in those other ideas, because I know we could get out there like all these, this. Okay, wait, reel it in. Let's do this step first, and you can add to it. I'm sure you're thinking ahead with your manufacturing, company and all that stuff too, how you can grow that and expand it and everything.
Yeah, you have to triage your expenses and everything like that. Like right now, we need a certain amount of money to produce to manufacture, and then to have the sales team, and get to various markets. We want to get to retail, etc. And if we're developing certain new products that could interfere. Which is part of the reason why we're doing a capital raise. But yeah, I mean, you have to think very carefully about where you put your resources. So while there are a lot of ideas to expand the product line, such as new colors,
yeah, and you have investors too, like because doing this way, it's not really all your company because you're sharing it. That's why it's called profit shares, right? Because you're sharing the company with others to be able to get enough money to make it successful. Even if you're going to be the main shareholder, it's still, you have to.
That comes with certain legal liabilities as well, or responsibilities,
Yeah, which is probably a good thing. Keeps you in check too, right?
Yeah,
for everybody.
You can't just do something because you feel like, I just want the product experience to be this way. We're going to lose money, but no. You have certain responsibilities. You have to run the business a certain way. So yeah, I have lots of ideas for how we can expand the product offering. But honestly, just the floss alone is a very large, in of itself. There's 24 million water flossing units sold every year right now, and they take even longer than string flossing. And the number one complaint people have about flossing is that flossing takes too long. So water flossers, currently the manual ones, they take the number one complaint and they make it take even longer. And yet they still sell 24 million units a year.
Because we recommend, as healthcare or dental professionals, we recommend them because we do see the benefit of getting under the gum line and we could see it firsthand. And so we do recommend it, but then I always recommend whatever you're going to do that, because if you're not going to use it, It's going to sit on your counter. Use string floss or use a pick. If that's like just whatever you're going to do it. But there's definitely benefits to this. I mean, to water flossing and getting under the gum. So what you're doing is great because it kind of puts that convenient little pick, but with the water, right?
Yeah. I mean, that's a classic difference between effectiveness and efficaciousness. It's like, something that is 100% effective that you do 0 times is 0% efficacious. And it's not only does it work in theory, but will you use it?
Yeah. And then patience, because we learn as kids, we teach the little kids, we disclose and we teach them how to floss. But if you give it an adult, sometimes I'll give an adult patient, I'm like, show me how you floss. Because they're like, I floss every day. I'm like, there's no way you floss at all. Like, there's no way. And so they take it and then it's just amazing. Some of the things they do. I'm like, let me show you, or when I floss them, I deliberately do I make obvious movements so they can feel it. Mm-hmm. And they're always like, what the hell? That's different how you floss. That's not how I floss. And so if you give them floss and then show them with the mirror, and a lot of them don't even know how to floss. And so a lot of them aren't going to talk to a hygienist like me that tells them how to floss. So this is I love this. This is going to help a lot of people.
Have you tried including a little booklet with the words, please read on it?
Yes, that would be good for sure. Or you have a little video? You have a video on how to use it too, right? Maybe do of
course. So video manual in every language that is likely to be understood by our customers. So
I'd say that too. I show them how to do it, but then go home and go on YouTube or whatever, go to the website and watch the instructions, because make sure that way you can watch and follow along, because you're going to forget once you leave this room too. So anything else you'd like us to know, Ellie, about your flosser or anything, or your company?
Well, if you're interested in learning more, there's always a limited amount that I can include here. I'm happy to answer any questions, but we have a pretty detailed information on Instafloss.com, where you can see how it works. You can see animations, you can see videos. We have a pretty extensive blog where we talk about research or our manufacturing process. If you really want to get into the nitty gritty of every problem we've had to overcome, with manufacturing and redesigns, etc. It's all there on the blog. I kind of feel that if you're going the route where, you're crowdfunding, you're pre-selling, you're doing equity crowdfunding, etc., you have to be, if you're publicly funding your company, you have to provide public information, because, people have to know as much as possible to make those sorts of decisions of whether or not they're going to pre-order the product or whether or not they're going to invest in the company, etc. So definitely we try to take a very open approach where we show as much information as possible. So there's a treasure trove of information there. And I recommend you go to instafloss.com.
Yeah, I'm going to go to it right away. I'm excited and looking for new investments for 2023. So let's all invest in this great company to help patients, help Ellie, and help ourselves not have such dirty patients, right? Healthier, less work for us. No, Troy. I'm always about home care and do as much as you can at home to make my job easier. And we can spend our time on other things, right? During our appointment time.
Absolutely. Think of what you could do with all that time.
I know, right? Well, it was great to meet you. And I hope you'll come back on again. Let us know where you're at. And, when things get going or when you're ready to do that ambassador launch or whatever, however it's going to work out. And when you have purple, no, I'm just kidding. So when you have anything exciting or any news too, we'd love to follow you and follow your journey from where you're at now. And then we'll see you on Netflix, your special, and how you succeeded, though, not how you went down, how it got even better.
Thank you very much, Cindy. It's been a pleasure talking to you, and I hope we definitely do talk again.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Dental Elements podcast. We truly appreciate your support and helping all these fine dental professionals share information with you, our listeners. And a very special thank you to Smile Makers for helping us make that happen. They are offering our listeners 20% off of any order by using code DAP20. That's right, 20% off any order. So DAP20, smilemakers.com. Check them out.